Yeah, another 3 and then John will shoot me.
Oh, okay, sorry, okay. Fine, okay, so 3 more. Right, gentleman over there, Susan in the front. I'm aiming to people who haven't spoken before. Gentleman with a striped tie towards the back. I'm really sorry, everybody else, I apologise.
Hi, I just wanted to know a little bit about the future of the Independent Living Fund, because you made your announcement quite a few months ago, and certainly a lot of people I support down in Hampshire are really in a limbo about knowing what is going on, about whether the money will be transferred to the local authority. If that is the plan, how are you going to support local authority to do that? Because at the moment people are facing a very difficult dilemma as to knowing whether they can carry on living independently after the end of the current Parliament.
Right, mine's is about huge morale out there, let's be realistic. We're looking at people that are sitting terrified in their house, and the comment earlier on about people, right, it is in the paper, but look at what the media's done. Folk are terrified to go out to the streets to campaign in case their 40s are turned. Folk are terrified just to go down to the social club, for to be out for a wee while, in case their 40s are turned. We've seen the bloody disgrace, I'm sorry hen, but we've really seen the folk, I've seen the folk that have been fighting their appeals all the time, that they've had their benefit taken off them time and time again. It doesn't work, it's no working, it's great for to sit and think that you're trying to be something good. I'm not trying to say that you didn't right, but look at the folk that's been affected. The morale is low, folk are sitting out there terrified, absolutely terrified. You've got the bloody media and the use of the government. Kick their backsides, can what they do to folk? Can it's one thing for to sit and think people can work. I work, I'd be the first to go out and try and empower somebody else for to work, but there's loads of folk that can't work, and I will bloody fight anybody that tries to force folk to work. And see, under the UN Convention, it's illegal for to force disabled folk for mandatory work. And where is a disabled person going to work 30 hours a week if their disability is really quite severe? There is a lot of things that seriously need taken into consideration. And see when you're mentioning ambassadors, I never once heard you saying anything about Scotland, sorry.
Strike time.
Strike time.
Minister, there's a reported £18 billion worth of cuts going to take place over the next 4 years. £9 billion in that will be against sick people, disabled people and their families. Why did the government deem it necessary to hit the most vulnerable people in society who had nothing to do with this crisis in the first place? Why is the government not attacking the £18 billion that large companies are offshoring their tax liabilities with?
Right, I'll quick counter through these and then John will go mad because I'm supposed to have left, and I'm sure they'll wait for me at the House of Commons. Independent Living Fund, fellow Hampshire resident. I know in Hampshire a lot of people in receipt of the Independent Living Fund. It's something that is important locally. Just to confirm, we will be having a consultation on the future of the Independent Living Fund. We need that to sit alongside the social care consultation as well, because two things are really linked, and that is now going to be happening in the spring. So that's round when we'll be having the Independent Living Fund consultation as well, probably a little bit later than I was anticipating. But you have my absolute guarantee that people who are currently in receipt of the Independent Living Fund will continue to be until, well, as long as I can promise it, which is the end of this Parliament. Nobody can go beyond that. And that what I will be working hard towards is to make sure that there's real clarity for people as to how the Independent Living Fund will move forward from here. It's a real shame that back in 2007, when this problem was first brought up and really clear evidence that this was not going to work in the long term. It had to be reformed. That action wasn't taken. But you know, we are where we are. We need to take that action now and make sure that this is back on a stable footing, which it wasn't at the time of the election. The lady at the front quite rightly said, I didn't talk about Scotland. Part of the problem which we face in these times with devolved administrations is that whilst on benefits, we have a very clear opportunity to work in varying ways with the devolved administrations, and it is different in each country and principality. That a lot of these things are devolved down, but what I really reassure you on is that there is a very close dialogue between ministers in all of the different parts of the country, and it really doesn't matter what political colour we're at. You know, we're trying to make sure we learn from each other, that we apply things that work in our bits of the country. But yeah, there are some problems there which we need to recognise. You're right about, I share your concern about media portrayal of disabled people. What can I do about it? I can help have a benefit system which doesn't leave us all open to people defrauding it.
You can also criticise the press. You can also criticise the press as part of the whole issue about the integrity of the press.
I would very openly criticise the language that's used. I think I do it on a regular basis.
I don't hear it.
So the language that's used where people are called, well, I'm not even going to use the words, the sort of language that is used is absolutely unacceptable, and what I want to see is a system where we can all be proud of the benefit system rather than leave people to throw stones at it. And then the gentleman in the striped tie at the back, sorry I didn't catch your name, talking about the importance of supporting disabled people, I can agree with you more. That's why we are continuing to spend £40 billion a year supporting disabled people through benefits, through services, a wide variety of different ways. But you know, in these difficult times, it is absolutely right that we are looking at ways of making sure that money is getting through to people who need it most. I think that is interesting when I look at some of the research reports that are done. You know, there is actually quite a broad consensus that there's problems in our benefit system, and you know, even broad consensus that DLA needs reform. We may disagree with each other on how it's reformed, but the need for reform is clear, because all too often at the moment we can't be absolutely sure that money is really getting through to those who need it most. So I hope that that gives you some answers to some of the questions. I know I could stay here for the whole afternoon, and I have to say in many ways I prefer to do that, because this is very much about listening to you and the concerns that you have, and if there are any things that you haven't been able to ask today and you would like to get more further information on, if the officials that are here can't answer those questions, then please just drop me an email, either at my parliamentary address or at my ministerial address, and I'll be delighted to try and answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And can I just also say that, you know, that Maria mentioned co-production, and I think the sort of involvement going forward in both the disability strategy and the work with disabled people, user-led organisations, is something that perhaps we can all take the opportunity to get involved in as that work develops. I think the co-production thing is very helpful. I know passions are running high. I'm really sorry that not everybody got to speak, but I'd like to thank Maria very much for coming and you know, listening to people's concerns and answering our questions and putting that into your schedule. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, and I hope the rest of the day goes well.